This is Dante Williams, and you watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
This is Showtime Sean Portland. Filipino Flash, Jesse Burns.
This is Al Bernstein. You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Hi, I'm Sugar Ray.
Chick Shape.
Sergio the last name more.
Dante's Boxing Nation. Boom, 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 boom.
Yo, this is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder.
My name is Gennady Golovkin.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Carl Froch, he gave his take on the Golovkin versus Danny Jacobs fight, and he has some pretty interesting things to say. Now, he believes that Golovkin is too strong and just too much for Danny Jacobs. He's picking Golovkin to beat Danny Jacobs. He also believes that Golovkin would beat Canelo Alvarez. Now, the one person outside of Andre Ward, of course, that he does believe will beat Gennady Golovkin is Chris Eubanks. He said that Chris Eubanks is a force to be reckoned with. He's strong, he's extremely skillful, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is pretty much on the lines of what he said, why he believes that Chris Eubanks would beat Gennady Golovkin. Now, the main thing that makes what Carl Froch said interesting is the fact that Carl Froch, he has actually sparred tons of rounds with Chris Eubanks. So he knows Chris Eubanks firsthand. He's not just going off of watching them fight, or watching Chris Eubanks fight, rather. So I thought that was a pretty interesting take. You know, I told you guys before that I thought the fact that Chris Eubanks, he's very strong, he can fight on the inside. Not only that, but he's very good at fighting you on the inside and then tying you up whenever he wants to. And he has very vicious uppercuts, which I think was a very good weapon for Kell Brook when he fought the much bigger Gennady Golovkin. He busted Golovkin's nose with the uppercut and caught him with some very clean uppercuts, because Golovkin, he likes to come in with his head down in that high guard, and he's not like a Mike Tyson where, you know, Golovkin doesn't really bob and weave a whole lot. He kind of comes in and he, you know, just wings those overhand rights, those hooks to the body. Now, Golovkin is extremely accurate, but he stands up a little bit more than a Mike Tyson. So therefore, Chris Eubanks being so accurate with his uppercut, it would be an interesting fight. Because see, with his uppercut, he can lead with the uppercut or he can set it up with punches. That's something very difficult for a lot of fighters to do, lead with uppercuts. We seen Gervonta Davis do it last night against Jose Pedraza, but it takes a lot of skill to lead with the uppercut. And that's something that Chris Eubanks could do. Now, that doesn't guarantee he can beat Golovkin, but it makes for a very entertaining, competitive fight. I truly believe the fight will be competitive for as long as it lasts. Now, and it's pretty interesting how you get different takes from different boxers, because I was just talking to the heavyweight prospect, Marcellus Williams, who he hasn't turned pro yet, but he has a very deep amateur background. He sparred with the majority of the best heavyweights today and does very well with them. Matter of fact, I watched him spar with Andy Ruiz. The video is up on my channel, and he was doing just as good as Ruiz was, and he has no pro fights. But with that being said, he gave an interesting take on who he thought could beat Golovkin as well. Now, he didn't mention Chris Eubanks, but he mentioned Erislandy Lara, Kerzice, Gilberto Ramirez, and Demetrius Andrade. Me personally, I believe the only guy that could probably beat Golovkin for sure on that list is Demetrius Andrade. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I don't think anyone can beat Demetrius Andrade at 154 or 160. But, you know, we'll see if Demetrius Andrade ever moves up to 160. He definitely has the height and the reach for the middleweight division. It would be very interesting to see him go or move up to middleweight. I know Jamal Charlo is talking about moving up to middleweight. What I find interesting is Jamal, he's talked about moving up to middleweight, but he hasn't even mentioned Gennady Golovkin's name yet. So who knows what that suggests. But with that all being said, yeah, I would really like to see Golovkin in the ring with Edislandi Lara, with Chris Eubank. I'm really happy that Golovkin is getting in the ring with Danny Jacobs this year in March. I think that'll be a very exciting, entertaining fight. And, you know, even though Danny Jacobs, he's been knocked out before, he was knocked down by Sergio Mora, I've said it once and I'll say it again, this is still a step in the right direction. If Golovkin were to go in there and just obliterate Danny Jacobs, that will still be an impressive win. And I'll give him the credit for it. I mean, once again, it's not like beating an undefeated fighter like Charlo knocking out Julian Williams, who a lot of people favored to beat Jamal Charlo. But it's not on that level, but it's better than him knocking out Dominique Wade or whatever it is. I think it was Dominique Wade, right? It's better than that kind of win to me, and it's more impressive than a David Lemieux win, because David Lemieux, who was also knocked out before he fought against Golovkin, the one thing about David Lemieux is he would get beat up all the time. All right, at least with Danny Jacobs, even though he's been knocked out, he's been looking good in the last recent years. So that's the difference. So this is definitely a step up in the right direction. I mean, put it this way, in terms of stepping up in competition, when it comes to opponents for Golovkin, it may not be a steak and lobster dinner, but it's way better than a bologna sandwich. And speaking of this, let me just say this to the boxing fans that defend Golovkin no matter what he does. When you sit over here and you say, oh, Golovkin is going to destroy this bum who has no chin and, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I'm just telling you, you're not doing Golovkin any favors, because all you're trying to make it sound like is Golovkin is picking another easy opponent. And I wouldn't say that this is an easy opponent. Clearly, we can never overlook the fact that Danny Jacobs has gotten knocked out before, but like I said, this is still a step up compared to the previous type of opponents that Golovkin has been in the ring with. Golovkin has been in the ring with welterweights and guys like Demetrius Andrade, David Lemieux, Marco Antonio Rubio, Adama, etc., etc., etc. So with that all being said, like I said, I can't wait to see the Golovkin versus Danny Jacobs fight. It should be a lot of fireworks no matter who wins. I'm just happy that the fight is coming to fruition. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
This is Bobby, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.